All right, let's go ahead and talk about what happened in the market today. Um, we are going to get really deep into things right here, okay? It's going to seem really complicated if, you really haven't trained your mind, started to train your mind to see these things, and I'm still working on it. Um, I was not experimenting something today, but deep, deep, deep thinking. It is not simply when I talk about break and retest, looking at, a low here and a high here. And if we get above this area right here, we're going long. Okay. I took the market short today and we'll see my execution. And we'll talk about where I'm putting my levels because I know a lot of break and retest people had their level right here looking for a long above this area. The reason is trend alignment. Okay. So are we in a bullish trend where we're compressing and making higher highs, basing continuing higher, or are we breaking lower? We can have reclaim rippers, and we'll get into the reason why this wasn't a reclaim ripper right here. But first off, clearly, if you can't see right here, this being resistance, I mean, I'm no longer trying to buy the breakthrough of this area. I'm not trying to be the hero that finally calls the push that's going to send us through. Okay, a seller stepped up. A seller stepped up here, pushed us lower. Buyers tried to regain control. When they failed, the seller stepped up again. There was no real seller up here. It's just that buyers didn't want to continue higher. Seller stepped up again. We return to the area. That seller steps up again. We return to that area. What do you think's going to happen? Do you think that we're just going to go sweep these highs now because you're finally a buyer at this area? You finally see that we're close to the highs, so you want to be a buyer? That's dumb. This is all about human psychology. So if we have a seller up here, and I keep everything green, even when it's a, well, I'll just change it, even when it's a resistance, but we're noting that we have a seller up here, but really I wasn't even concerned about that. What I was concerned about the fact of was if we take a look back in this area here, and this is just how are the players interacting to how price is moving pretty much on a day-by-day basis, okay? So we had this key inflection point here. We had a seller step up. We continued to hold this key area. When we broke below it, we held below it. When we finally got above it, no one was allowed. We compressed through here and we gapped up, okay? We came through and held these highs. I don't know why that just moved. We held these highs in this area here, right? I think this FOMC, yeah, FOMC. We come down here. This should have been a reclaimed ripper. This should have looked like this if we were going to continue being in a bullish environment. This box right here should have been safe, just like this. We should have held this area right here, okay? Low, low, break above it, low, low. Hold that area and continue higher. From here, our chart should start looking like this if we were going to continue in a bullish environment. Compress, break higher, compress, break higher. What do we see here? On the next day, we get our push higher. This should be what? If we're going to be bullish, this should be a compression. And the next day should open and no buyers stepped in this area. This was the first indication that we are not about to take a bullish trend. Like we're not about to begin a bullish environment to go make our way to these highs right here and maybe even higher. That was my first indication. No buyers stepped up in this compression. Look at Tesla. No point did this thing just fail violently like that, except for this point here. But we were also, at the very top of, we were at all-time highs at that point. So we break below this area. Rarely are you going to have multiple reclaimed rippers where you push lower, sweep a bunch of liquidity, and then continue moving higher. This happens overnight. People are looking at this. Retail people, they're trying to pick the wrong side of the V. They're on the wrong side. They're FOMOing into the V. They think that everything's just going to go up from here. I don't know why my throat's hurt. First indication that the buyers weren't present, breaking below these highs here, second indication. Third indication, this was not a reclaim ripper. This is not going to be a reclaim ripper. Yes, we held this area, which is a key strong zone here. Way too choppy, which is turning into what? This is about to turn into a range. And on ranges, that's where you trade search and destroy, which is, oh, where'd my, which is pretty much sweeps of liquidity. So was this today? Monday, right? Coming into today, my mindset is on search and destroy. So a sweep of liquidity back into the range. This is not a trending environment right here. This had potential to be a trending environment at this point right here. We could have trended. Not a break below here, and especially not after a break below here. We're not going to have a shakeout here, here. Oh God, here. This now becomes a range, and we are going to trade seek and destroy. Sweeps liquidity back into the range, and it's going to be choppy. So if we go to 930, it's 155. Okay. At this point here, I was watching this high. This was the high of day for Thursday because Friday was a holiday, Juneteenth. I was watching how we reacted to those highs and if we could break and hold above them, which we did a good job of doing right here in the morning. But I understood, first off, that if we were going to have buyers step in, it was not going to be this high and low like this. It would have been something choppy like this, lower, and sitting in something like a bubble like this altogether. It's not going to be extremely whippy like this. That's not going to be the base that breaks us higher. Right here, the same way that I saw the buyers fail at this area right here. Let's go to the 30-minute. When we saw the buyers fail at this point right here, that should have came up the same way they failed right here is the same way they failed at 9:30 in the morning, and we have that supply sitting right here. Now this had the potential to break above and continue higher right here, but I did not want to take part in that because of what I had seen in the previous days. The failure here, the break below the highs of Wednesday at this point, then the break below here, and then we pushed higher and higher and higher right into supply. So you have to be paying attention to how the market is interacting. If we're coming off of a compression and a push higher, I'm all for maybe this is the base and this is going to be the movement. But I was sitting and waiting. While I'm anticipating buyers not to step in here, I wasn't really seeing a short until, and I'll show where I shorted. I also took a trade on MGC. We'll talk about that later. We had this area here. We had buyers step in or sellers step in, holding, break above it, holding. This was my first indication, right, that we were going lower. If we could break below that. And now at this point, I think we're trending down. What I'm looking for is a compression at this area. This was our first, this could have been the first entry. Very risky because we definitely could have held this level and pushed higher. That would have been my first area. Now I'm looking for basing right here, which we got right here. And I'm looking for a break below. Boom. So I don't know where my actual entry was because the candle doesn't just glitch like that. But I did allow the pullback to this area. We held, and I'm understanding that we could potentially have buyers step in here. That doesn't mean that they're going to take us up to the top again, but we could stall out here and not push lower, and I just want to get out of the trade. So what I did was I trailed. Break even on this push. I want to see this hold. I don't want to see a retracement here. The push below, and I was out here. So I played that wrong. I was still in the trade at this point, and I should have understood the fact that we could retest this area and push lower. However, I did not want to see any more profit going, and I think we took out about there. And we did continue pushing lower from this point, so that was a great break and retest area. However, I'm happy with this. This is repeatable. That short setup, the compression, and the push lower. And then we ended up stalling, continuing a little bit lower. I don't really want any part of that, but we didn't get caught offsides here, and we'll actually see the executions. That was the thought process behind the trade there. So yeah, we got filled about here while this candle was pushing down. I don't know if you can even see that red arrow right here on this part of the candle. Red arrow right there. It's about 30, 3841. And then yeah, we got taken out right there. 3841. Just a nice movement in the trend. We're on the right side of the trend right here. We don't have to pick the top up here. We don't have to be risky playing at this area here. When we do get something like that, I realized I might want to be a little more aggressive and try and get in somewhere closer to this area here when I can tell that we're having that fade right here. This part is going to be protected, this little box square, so I don't have to wait for the confirmation under here. But then again, that's a consistent trade, so we're happy with that. I think it'll actually show it. Oh, this is still replay. Right, so like if you delete everything and you start looking at the chart on your own, and we go back to this area right here, you're thinking, okay, this is a reclaim ripper right here. Right in this point here, we're holding this key area, we're breaking above these highs, and now we're eating into above these highs, compressing. Why wouldn't I want to go long here? You would want to go long here. This would be a great long opportunity if this did not occur, and this did not occur, and this did not occur. That's just telling you that the buyers are not present. No one's going to jump in on this opportunity. It's a failed buying. I don't know how to explain it. There's a big difference between when you see something healthy like this. When we do have, I would consider this a reclaim ripper. We compress in this area, we base out, we push higher, and then what do? We're basing out this point here, compressing, pushing higher. We're basing, and then the buyers didn't want to step up at this point, and we failed. And now we're in a range. Gold. Did I even go over why I drew my areas? I think I did. Tell you why I didn't want to be a a seller in gold at this area. Where's our gold? Gold was just a small little trade I tried to trail, and did not really work out. Execution marks. Where are my execution marks at? Oh, right here. Bought two. Yeah, I got. When I tried to reset my account to 5,000 to treat this like an actual. This is because this is my first day trying to pretend that I'm trading a live account. I didn't have enough it wouldn't let me trade 2 micro gold contracts right when I bought there, so I had to quickly switch it to 8-to-1 leverage, and I got a terrible fill here. But this is basically the mindset of why we're looking at that. So clearly we had buyers step in here, buyers, broke below it, held this area, pushing. So when we returned to it, when the market looked like this, if we get down to this area, and I wasn't really looking at this one at first, if we can come down here and see some basing, we have potential here for a long position. And we get a good push above here. Buyer stepped in, and now we're getting that basing pattern, and we're trading the breakout of this area. Basing, breakout, stop below here. Here, if we're going to continue, I want to see basing. The stop moves to the bottom of that candle. Buyers should continue to step up right in this area, and they fail. And so I realized that that trend was over. We didn't want to continue trying to be a buyer or look for this to pull into 50% or try and trade this as a short, because we're held up from here. There's buyers in this area. There's no reason to go short. It's just the buyers going to step in. So, and I did feel FOMO at this point, but I didn't enter. I didn't want to get in that trade because this didn't make sense to me. The buyers failed at this point here. That's the same way. This is the same thing that we just looked at on the 15-minute chart for MNQ. The buyers failed here, so this doesn't mean anything to me, okay? We're not looking for this to compress here and then go higher, because the buyers were not present in this area, and we ended up failing. Now, here's a key thing. Why right here are we not looking for the break in the retest? Why are we not expecting price to make its way up here and continue lower? Because we had buyers here. Now they're not here, so this should then turn into resistance, right? This is key. If you take a look at this, obviously your mind is focused on these lows here. At this point right here, and this is a 30-minute chart, so you're not really going to be able to see it, price, right, pushed up, created this wick, pulled back, stalled out, pushed up, tried to go lower, came back, closed right there, and we finally had buyers defend this level and push us here. That is key. Oh God, what happened? We had a fight here, and buyers overcame it, and when we returned, they stepped up again. So this area right here, I don't know why this looks like this. Support right here. We do not want to be shorting when we have buyers right in this area. It's just improbable. You don't want to be shorting when that happens. I draw that wrong. I might have drew that wrong. Yeah, it's supposed to kind of be like this. Not a fan of shorting right there. No siree. So then we stalled out for the rest of the day. So those are the two trades. That's how we're looking at the market. It's definitely a different way than anyone else has been explaining it. I mean, you might look at someone trading break and retest, and the first thing they're going to do is look at these candles over here, see it matches up with this. Oh, buyer stepped in there, buyer stepped in there. Here. Here's our break and retest zone, which could be right. But then if you're just sitting there saying as soon as we break above that, we're looking for longs, you have to understand what kind of market you're in. And, gold is definitely in like a downish trend at this point here. So yeah, we'll see how this account continues to grow. We'll see the balance history. So it started June 22nd. I'm gonna continue doing this. Yeah, see MGC, MNQ. Just making that where the goal is like 650 a month just start covering rent and just pay rent off. And that eliminates that fear of over leveraging, FOMO and greed, holding trades and leaving money on the table. Because we're just base hits, stacking that 650, paying off the rent, saving the money from work. Yeah, boy.